We are talking today with John Weidenhammer, president of Weidenhammer. John, thanks for visiting with us today.
I'm thrilled to do it. Happy to do it, Dan.
I'm interested in your business story. You've focused on education for a long time, and we all know that there's school districts and higher education are under enormous business pressures. So, what kind of changes have you had to make in your business model to accommodate those changes?
Well, you know, we often say that in education today there's kind of a perfect storm because of all the changes to their financial model that have occurred probably over about the last 10 years. In fact, years ago we used to say schools can always find the money to do what they want to do, but today they really can't. I mean, they're strapped because most of their sources from federal and state and local sources are dramatically cut back. So schools have had to be a lot more creative, and we've had to be a lot more creative as well. So what we tend to do is we take a much more financial-oriented sell when we talk to our customers about our financial management software. So rather than kind of selling feeds and speeds and so forth, we talk more about what the software can do for their business in terms of enhancing revenue, saving cost, enabling them to make better and faster decisions, enabling them to push information out to their constituents, whether it's school board members or their staff or parents or teachers, whomever.
And they're receptive to that kind of an approach, I would guess?
They're receptive in the long run. In the short run, it's a different model because they sometimes aren't accustomed to thinking that way, to say, well, how can we justify a decision that we're going to make on a completely financial basis? But you know, we've learned to work through that. One of the things that we've seen is we've seen schools take money for technology projects from sources that they never really used before. I mean, we've seen them use bond offerings and, you know, rainy day money and all sorts of things that traditionally haven't been sources for the kinds of projects that we run. But at the end of the day, schools have a tremendous productivity challenge. They're being asked by a whole different set of sources to do more and more with the same, or in many cases, less.
Right.
So one of the things that they can use to leverage up their productivity is technology, and we see that happening in a big way.
Speaking of education, you're on the board at Albright.
Yes.
And you obviously feel strongly about the importance of higher education. Talk about what in your view is the value of college education, and how do we've been on a path for so long of encouraging people to go to college. Is that always the right choice, and is college still a good value?
Wow, loaded question. I'll say yes, really, to all of those. Certainly, it hasn't proved in the short run to be a good value for some students, and it's particularly, you know, troubling because so many young people today have gone to college. They've racked up a lot of debt, in many cases too much debt because the money was just available to them. And now they find themselves working in a job that they didn't prepare themselves for, or in some cases, you know, really they're way under employed. So they have a lot of debt, they're way underemployed, and it looks like in the short run a bad decision. And some of that's driven by the economy that we have now. But statistically, if you look at this over a long period of time, folks that A, graduate from high school and B, graduate from college, when you look at their lifetime income streams, there are dramatic changes that happen if you just get out of high school and if you get out of college over a lifetime. Now, you know, we don't know how the world is going to change, and it may prove that, you know, going to college really is a bad investment. But based on what we know now, in terms of students preparing themselves for the rest of their life for employment, college is a good investment. But, you know, I've seen so many students. I mean, I can, you know, talk about, you know, people that I'm close to. I've seen them transformed from a high school student to finishing college, where they go from being kind of just a kid to being an adult that's able to think and speak and engage in critical analysis.
There's a growth that you go through.
There's a significant growth, and I believe that that's a worthwhile experience for everybody. And I don't want to take away, you know, the experience of, getting a job maybe and working before you go to school, or going into the military either before or after school, because they bring a set of values and skills and experience too that are very valuable. But it's really hard to replace, in the big picture of things, regardless of what you do, the value of getting a good education. I heard a startling statistic. I was at a meeting I'm on the Iraq Foundation board, and I heard just a startling statistic the other day. And basically, and this came from Anna Whites, the president of Iraq. She said, based on a study that the Brookings Institution did, if you can graduate from high school and get to 21 without either being married or having a child, you have only a 0.7% chance of ever living in poverty in your entire life. So get a high school education, whether it's a GED or just graduate straight out. Don't get married, don't have any children, get to 21, 0.7% chance of ever living in poverty. I mean, to me, that's probably the best recommendation for filling out that agenda. But again, I do think that college is a good investment. Yes, in education, costs have gone up faster than educators would like. I think a lot of students have had to take on more debt than they would like. In fact, I heard a great rule of thumb a few months ago, and I think parents and students should apply this. They basically said you should never take on more debt for your education than what the first year's salary would be for the job that you're going to take based on the training that you get. So, if you're studying psychology and the starting wage for a psychologist is $30,000, don't take on $30,000,
right,
more than $30,000 worth of debt.
Let me ask you one more question. I know you're a big advocate of downtown Reading. How do you think the new administration is doing in terms of being more welcoming to business?
I think the jury's still out on whether they're going to be more welcoming for business. I'm particularly troubled by some situations that I'm aware of. I won't go into them, where businesses wanted to come to Reading and maybe passed on it because they didn't think that the environment was kind of business friendly enough. But I do think that the mayor, city council, I think some of the new staff that has come into the city it's a good team. I see them working together more productively and more actively. And again, I think the jury's still out on this, but I really do feel like we may be approaching a tipping point where things start to change in the city and we become a little bit more friendly to business, and that the businesses that are in the city tend to prosper a little bit more than maybe they have in the past. It's a tough go. I mean, the city has serious financial problems. There's no doubt about that. These problems weren't created by the current administration or even the last one. I mean, we have a 20-year, maybe a 40-year, or 50-year problem that has built up here, and there aren't any easy solutions for getting out of it quickly. But like the Chinese say about the journey of 1,000 miles, it starts with the first step, and I think we're making those early first steps. I mean, it's not moving certainly as fast as I would like it to move. It's not moving as aggressively as I would like it to move, but I feel we're moving in the right direction.
And we'll let that be the last word. John, I wish we had more time, but thank you.
Me too. Thanks, Dan. Pleasure. Good to see you.